in subtracting fractions, guys, adding and subtracting fractions, in order to add or subtract the same thing, you have to have like terms. In math, always, in order to add or subtract, you have to have like terms. For example, can I add 3x squared plus 4x? Can I add that? I can't combine these. So 3x squared plus 4x would be 3x squared plus 4x. Like, this does not combine. But if I had 3x plus 4x, could I add those? Because they have the same 3 of x's and we have 4 of x's, so now we have 7 of that same thing, x's. So why am I bringing this up? When we talk about fractions, our term part of the fractions is the denominator. When we talk about fractions, the like terms would be the denominator value. So if I have something like 1/8 or 5/6, these are not like terms because we have 1/8 and we have 5 of the 6ths. These are not the same thing. So in order to add fractions, we can actually make common denominators. That's what we're going to do today. It says multiply the numerator and denominator of each fraction by the denominator of the other fraction, and then use the least common multiple to add together. That's two different methods. I'm just going to do it explain. So what I would do is I would first think 1/8 and 5/6. Do they have anything in common, 8 and 6? Like, do they have anything in common at all? Okay, so different question what you're answering. 2, they're both even. They do have a 2 in common. So I don't need to multiply 8 times 6. I don't need to make my denominator 48. We just want to make it into the lowest common multiple that 8 and 6 go into. So that's what Chris yelled at. So I want the denominator to be 24. But you have to mathematically make that happen. To make that happen, 1/8, and you have to multiply that value of 1, which means the top and the bottom number have to be the same value. So 8 times what becomes 24? I cannot just multiply by 3. I have to multiply by 3/3, because really I'm multiplying by 1, and 1 doesn't change a value. This is just going to change the appearance of this number. It's going to be the same value. And we're going to do the same thing with 5/6. We're going to multiply that by a value of 1. So it does not change the value, it just changes the appearance. So 6 times what? 4. So that means I have to multiply by 4 on top with the 5 as well. So that will give me 3/24. Remember, when you multiply fractions, you go straight across so you don't fall in the hole. You go straight across when you multiply fractions so you don't fall in the hole. So I get 3/24 plus 20/24. Do not reduce here. We purposely made these numbers equivalent fractions that could be reduced. Don't reduce, because you just undo what we just did. Our next step is let's actually add the numbers together and put it over that common denominator. If I have 3/24 and 20/24, I add those together, and now I have 23/24. After addition is where you can try to simplify if possible. So after adding them together, can you reduce? Could I reduce here? No. But on a different one. You've done Okay? Gosh, I'm spending all this time on it. You know why? Because when we get to chapter 7, which this is chapter 5, when we get to chapter 7, you're going to be adding things like I'm making this up in my head right now, by the way. There you go. And we have to know the rules of addition because you can't type that in your calculator and get that answer.
Are we going to be learning that before the air test? Like, is that going to be
You do not have an air test for Algebra 2. Geometry was the last, so we'll learn it. You guys have government. Yeah, government's pretty much the last one you take. Okay. So that is our final answer. Now, example 4 is a subtraction, but these really are the same questions. Like, I could have done this with subtraction and everything else would be exactly the same. I'd have a different answer, but all the work is the same for addition or subtraction. There are 2 ways that you could do this kind. They're mixed numbers. We could take them out of mixed numbers, or you can do it with mixed numbers. I think it's harder to leave it like this. I actually think it's easier to take them and write them as the fractions. So that's what I'm going to do. Remember to change it into improper. You take the denominator and you multiply it by the whole number, and then you add the number on top, and then you put it over the original denominator. So when I change this, 4 times 5 is 20 plus 3. I get 23/4. And this one, I'm going to do 10 times 1 plus 7. So I get 17 over so 23/4 minus 17/10. You see how 4 and 10 have a factor in common? They have a number that goes into both of them in common. So I'm not going to use 40. I'm not going to multiply these together. What do 4 and 10 go into? 20. So I'm going to make my denominator 20. So how am I going to do that? We're going to take 23 over 4, and we're going to multiply it by a value of 1 that makes the bottom 20. What should I multiply by? So 5, I know you're answering just the bottom. What should I multiply on top and bottom? Right. It has to be a value of 1. So we can change its appearance, but not value. And then for the next one, 17/10, we're going to multiply by what? Remember, when we multiply straight across. 20 times 5 is 100. 3 times 5 is 15, so that's 150. 17 times 2, 10 times 2 is 20, 17 times 2 is 14, 34 over 20. 15 minus 30 is 185 minus 4 more, 181? No, 81? Is it 81? Who used their calculator? Is it 81? Does that reduce? You can check for reduction after you have subtracted. It does reduce? Okay, so that's that means something different than reduce. So can we divide out a number from the top and the bottom to reduce it? Okay, we can't. We can't reduce it. But now, I am actually going to write my answer as a mixed number, and you know why? Because the original question was written as a mixed number. So I am going to do what Rachel said. 20 goes into 81 how many times? With a remainder of 1. So both of these answers are the same. It's just since the original number, we write our answer as a mixed number. Yes? What do you mean?
3/4 is greater than 7/10, so I just put them into equals, so it's 15 over 20 and 14 over 20. So then
So did you do like 4? And then you did, so you did 5 minus 1, hold on, 5 minus 1, and you did minus
14. Yeah.
14 20ths, and got 1 20th, and you got 4? Okay, that's fine. On occasion,
Yeah, it's not going to work.
it'll work if you really do it right, but like in this number had been smaller, and you got a negative number here.
No, I'm just
Yeah,
asking for
but
like,
you can do it that way.
Okay.
But what I'm doing is I'm trying to get us ready for. I went over it, but we won't see so many mixed numbers. We're going to see more of the just regular fractions. All right, so that's adding, subtracting fractions. Good? That's when we need common denominator. You do not need common denominator for multiplying or dividing. These are the easy ones. Multiply or divide. Excuse me. Multiply, we go straight across. Right? So this first one, 2 times 3. Yeah, so to reduce it, and this is something I'm trying to stress on purpose because I know what's coming up and I know where people make mistakes. And you probably didn't learn it earlier good enough, so I'm trying to help you learn it now. In order to cancel stuff, it has to be a factor. It has to factor out. So what number comes out of 6 and comes out of 40? Tell me what number. 2. So I'm going to rewrite this as 2 times 6. No, 2 times 3, I mean. Sorry. And I'm going to rewrite this as 2 times 20. You're only allowed to cancel them if they factor out. That is a rule in math, which is going to be really important when it gets to all this complicated stuff. So I'm trying to not ready to learn new things, but just trying to help. In order to cancel, you have to be able to factor it out. All right, the next one, we're doing multiplication. Fancy or different way of doing this one, maybe? I'm going to change it. How you did the...
I was just doing the other one just by looking at it.
Oh, no, it's not fancy, but I mean, like, when I do it this way, if you have a different way of doing it, I'd be curious to hear. Okay. So for this one, I'm going to change 5 half to 11 halves. Multiply that by 3/4. We multiply by going straight across. You get 33 over 8. Hold on. Is there a factor in 33 and in 8 that could cancel out? No. So then this could be the answer, or because there's a mixed number here, maybe we put our answer in mixed number form. Is that what you were going to tell me? Yeah. What is it? 4 and 1/8. Yeah. So that's multiplication. And then division. Yeah, I don't use that, but yeah. People don't remember that as much. You can't divide fractions. But instead of dividing by a number, we can do what? Multiply by the reciprocal. So instead of dividing by a number, it says it right here, multiply by the reciprocal. Keep, change, flip is the thing that, yeah, but you see how she was like, what was that again? I really believe that if you need to remember this stuff, you have to understand it, and the cute little slogans don't always work. Okay, so instead of dividing by 5 over 6, we're going to take 3/7 and multiply by 6 over 5. These are equivalent. Multiply by 6 over 5, same answer. So we'll multiply straight across. Get 18 over 35. Is there a factor of 18 and a factor of 35? Same. Well, 18 is 3 times 6, and 6 is 3 times 2. 7 is prime, 5 is prime. They got nothing in common. So that's the answer. No reducing. Change 3 times 2 plus 1 over 3. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's been doing it all day. I don't know why. Probably because I need to restart, but I haven't done that yet. So I'm going to get 7/3.
Don't you have to, like, put it over 8 over 1?
Maybe. Which of these am I going to flip?
The 7/3.
The second one.
Yeah.
The one that comes after division. So I'm going to have 8 and I'm going to multiply by 3 over 7. So do I need to put 8 over 1? If I have trouble remembering that 8 is 1, I should probably put over 1. I know some people have trouble sometimes and they multiply 8 on top and bottom unless it's over 1. So that's probably helpful for us. So we multiply straight across. 24 over 7. Is there a factor in common? Okay. Since this one had mixed number, I'll go ahead and write it as a mixed number. 7 goes into 24. 3 full times. 3 7s left over. Those are our notes for today. Yes. So you have a worksheet. You will have to do it on paper.
Yeah.